Hello, and welcome to the LAAGCast. It is July 12th, 2018, and I'm your host, Max Williams. With me, as always, are my co-hosts, Will Henry.
Hey.
And Sam Richards.
Yo.
So, the most outrageous thing this week, I thought, was Rian Johnson had some sort of revelation this week and went on Twitter and decided to announce that he thought that the fan backlash to his Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi, was all of the same people using all of the same tactics from our old friend Gamergate.
Yeah, I saw this as well, and I cracked up. I actually saw it because of a guy who was giving, a pretty great response to it, which I wish I could remember. I had it a second ago, I swear. But yeah, Rian Johnson's weird when it comes to this movie because he has made comments in the past where he's essentially acknowledging he doesn't think it's the greatest Star Wars movie and that he would be happy if he had the chance to remake it. Yet, for some reason, he's still willing to go and bash a whole community of people in order to defend his movie.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like he's been spending a lot of time on the internet and thinks he's found some sort of great scapegoat that he can blame some stuff on. Because when it comes down to it, financially, The Last Jedi is not a huge, overwhelming success.
Yes.
I don't think that we're actually going to get a 3-movie Rian Johnson trilogy, even though they haven't officially canceled it yet.
It's really unfortunate.
So, yeah, who knows where that'll end up. But, yeah, that's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that shit.
I really like Rian Johnson movies, and then I wasn't a big fan of that movie. And it's like it ruined his entire appearance as a director. I lost all hope.
If he had just stayed quiet, then it wouldn't have been anything more than a blip on the radar. He could have moved on, made other movies, and we probably would have watched them and enjoyed them. But
exactly.
He's made it so much about lumping in any criticism with the designated targets.
Yeah.
That it's just gross.
Yeah, it's very outrageous.
It's outrageous indeed.
Yeah. Well,
too bad.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to the video game news. Will, what do we got?
All right. Well, Darksiders 3 has an official release date of November 27th of this year.
So what are we thinking, March or April?
No, I think that it's actually, I think it's going to come out when they say it's going to come out.
They've been working on this one long enough.
Yeah, and it's been rather under wraps. They actually revealed, a lot of stuff along with this release date that I guess people didn't know. So it really seems like they've made a lot of progress and that they decided to wait until they could have, an actual date.
Do you know who you're playing as in this one by chance?
I do not, actually. I should have read up on that.
Because it's the 4 horsemen, and in the first one you're Death,
Yep.
and in the second one you're War, I believe.
Yes, I do believe you're right.
Or maybe it's the other way around.
No, I think...
Because in the second one you're the skull-looking guy.
You're right, yeah.
I think the first one you're War, and the second one you're Death.
I played both of them, so I should know this.
Yeah, they're pretty decent, so I wonder, will it be Famine, or what's the other one after that?
I don't know.
Come on, are we that bad?
Yes,
we're that bad at Biblical Horsemen and X-Men comics?
Unfortunately, 4 Horsemen is not lore that I've ever read.
Anyway, moving on. What else?
In delays, Code Vein has been delayed till 2019. It was supposed to be released this year, I guess. I didn't even realize that, so this is not huge news to me.
Yeah, I stopped paying attention to Code Vein.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, moving on with releases, the game I'm a big fan of, Dead Cells, that has been in early access for a very long time, is officially launching next week, which is pretty impressive, and that means the game is probably actually done now.
Are they just going to flip a switch and not much is going to change other than it's now an official release, or are they planning to add a big patch that day too?
I'm not actually sure, but I know that they needed to add the final boss the last time I played, and that wasn't too long ago. So I imagine that they either just released the final boss and they're like, okay, this is the game, we're going to release it, or they're going to release the final boss along with this.
The console versions.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I found this pretty funny. Todd Howard says that if people would just stop buying the ports of Skyrim, then he would stop making ports of Skyrim.
Will. Who's Todd Howard?
Todd Howard is the CEO of Bethesda.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Everyone knows who Todd Howard is. Come on.
You're my siphon for news, man.
Alright, and in the last piece of news for games at least, that I have, Tencent the largest games publisher in the whole world, and also China specifically because they're Chinese, has announced that their Steam-like program, WeGame, is going global, and it might be the only actual competitor to Steam that, could threaten Steam.
Why am I going to this place instead of Steam for any reason?
Because Chinese companies can charge you less for just about everything.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yes, the market will decide.
Here we go.
Exactly.
Man, so even if you don't, then Steam sales might get a little more aggressive.
Oh, yeah, and the way that Steam has been going of just letting everything flood their market, for all we know, WeGame is going to focus way more on, not every game, but maybe
quality
games that are quality. I bet they'll allow indie games, but maybe not all the indie games in the way that Steam does.
What else has this company done?
Tencent?
Yeah.
Tencent, yeah, well, first of all, they own League of Legends.
Okay, so...
And they also own Blizzard, and they also own Activision.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Plenty of reasons to go and buy games off of their games off of their marketplace.
So they're motivated to not have crap software be uploaded to their shop, you think? And not just go for the wide money approach?
I think in the non-mobile market, they might go that route. But in the mobile market, they'll do anything for money because that's where they make most of their money.
Right. 99-cent download.
Exactly. And they own like 9 out of 10 of the top mobile games in China at any given time.
That's what I was thinking of earlier when I asked you what they make.
Okay.
That was edging me more towards the crappy software side of things.
Right.
Yeah. But of course, Steam already has that covered, so it would probably be a pretty good business move to not just absorb everything the same way.
Yeah, don't be the same as Steam, just
Yeah.
be competition for Steam.
Be better than Steam.
But
Well, attempt to be better.
will it be an interface too, not just like a web store you go to? Like it's going to have all of the Steam stuff, or is it just going to be a marketplace?
I do believe that it is an app like Steam is.
Okay, so you can keep all your games locked in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And how about we talk about some games we played?
I'm down. Do you want to spend a little bit of time talking about Fallout? Because I got a lot to say.
I don't have that one. I don't really have anything to say about Fallout. I stopped playing Fallout pretty soon after we recorded last week. Did not play much more.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I have been playing quite a bit. And most of this playthrough has been spent on 2 more of the DLCs that I found.
Nice.
One of them was just real quick. It was the Vault Tech DLC, which was fun because you got to go down into an actual vault and clear out a big area and make some buildings in there that are, in the vault style, and bring in some settlers and run some weird vault experiments on them.
Weird vault experiments.
Just for the walls.
Okay, now, when you say weird vault experiments, what do you mean?
Like, we could give them a drink machine, like that was the set thing.
Yeah.
But you could decide whether it would give them, like, just caffeine or, like, a weird psychedelic drug that'll make them happier about existing in the vault.
Oh, man.
Or just a placebo. And so each one kind of has, like, an evil option, a not-too-evil option, and a pretty benevolent option. There's an eye exam one where you can give them subliminal messages is one of them, or you can just give them an actual eye exam.
Whoa.
So yeah, they make you run like 4 experiments, and then that DLC is basically done.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I went over and found Nuka World, and let me tell you guys, might be a contender for most fun quest lines in any Fallout game of the modern Fallout era. You are a raider in this one, essentially, in the way I'm playing, because I'm playing a bad guy, so I'm not trying to like fight all these people.
Yeah.
You have a question, Will?
No, just keep going.
So you go to this place. It's Nuka World, Nuka-Cola being the official soft drink brand of the Fallout universe.
Yeah.
And being what theme parks are called.
Right, and Nuka World is essentially a pastiche of Disneyland. It's a big, fun theme park that has been taken over by 3 groups of raiders.
Does it have characters like Mickey Mouse?
Anybody like that is long dead.
Okay.
The park it's not a huge map, but it's like an enclosed area that's separate from the main part of the game, just like Far Harbor was. And you have this front area where all the gangs are kind of clustered, and you can do radiant quests for the various gangs to try to curry their favor, because the first thing that happens when you go in there is you kill the head boss of the gangs and become the head boss. So you immediately have to decide how to wrangle all these raiders in the best way. So after taking back the 5 different areas of the park that were still inaccessible, which were based on basically different parts of Disneyland, one was 100% Space Mountain, just the interior Space Mountain. You could find a panel that would let you turn the lights on or off, so, and if you turned them off, it was Space Mountain lights where it's dark with the beams of light shooting everywhere. And you know, you have to basically clear out all the areas. There's another area that's the zoo area, and you run into a guy who was raised by zombie gorillas. And you can run around with him, and he beats up things with a sledgehammer.
That's pretty cool.
And now that I have completely taken over the entire theme park for my raiders, I've started moving back out into the main map, and I'm choosing settlements to target to either take over or to force to supply for my taken over settlements, because raiders don't farm and do like the utility work like regular settlers do. Right. So you have to have a certain number of subjugated farms for every regular farm that you've taken over in order to keep them in supply. And that's where I'm at so far.
That's crazy.
One of the 3 gangs did rebel against me, so I had to go on a leader with the other mission with the other gang leaders to kill them when they had dug in at the power plant. And that was a fun little mission with a bunch of NPCs backing me up. And just the most fun I've had in that game in a while. I think it might be the most fun mission in that game.
Well, it sounds like it changes the game quite a bit.
Yeah, if you stick with the raider path, because there's paths you could go down where you just kill them all, and there's like outside people you could be assisting instead. But I'm going for Big Violent King. I'm playing my Joker character, so this has been a questline that has been very conducive to my role playing.
No, it really seems like it was well designed. Like the developers really had a goal in mind, and they achieved it.
Yeah, I'm really having a good time. I really like it. So I'm probably going to be sticking with that a little longer.
All right. Well, me and Sam played a really crappy game.
What's that?
Yeah, we did.
It's called Spirit Animal Survival, and it's pretty much brand new on Steam. And it is a survival game. Now, I'm going to start by saying the good thing about it, which is the fact that it has the most massive, amount of things you can build of any game I've ever seen. There's actually just so many that I didn't bother to scroll through even 1/10 of it, because it was like, wow, you can build anything, and it has a search function, so I put in rope and gives me, multiple types of rope.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the game was insane. Okay, but now let's get into why this game was bad. So you launch this game, and immediately it's just, wide, big open world with random beasts placed in random spots, but not just like normal beasts. Some of them are normal animals, but some of them are like one-eyed ogres and things that just suddenly start chasing after you. Some of them are tiny little rabbits that, rather than being level 4 like all the huge things, are level 36 and kill you in one bite. So then you die and you respawn in the same place, where mobs have continued to gather that weren't there before, because you always respawn in the same place.
Ooh, bad design there.
And the mobs just keep, gathering up, so it's like every time you respawn, it's like, this is just a worse place to be. You're not going to survive any longer.
Does that just become a loop? You can't escape?
No, eventually I ran away, and I made it to, a mountain, and I built a bunch of things, and it's the last thing I did was I managed to get the materials to build a gun. And using that gun, I mowed down about 15 enemies before the gun ran out of ammo, and I was like, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
But at one point, Sam was just sitting there AFK with a dragon flying above him, breathing fire on him over and over, but it wasn't actually hurting him.
Yeah, it was after I died on the longest amount of time that I stayed alive, where I killed a turtle and got a trebuchet from it. I just looted an entire trebuchet off of a turtle. And I got 4 cooking fires off of one lizard on the beach. So that's crazy. But then I died and went back to the spawning zone. And now there was a dragon there. So I was just forget this, and I just stood under the dragon where it couldn't hit me. And yeah, that's where I decided this game is not ready for release.
Yeah. It really is annoying when they make the loot system completely incomprehensible and totally randomized like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and this game, what it seemed was happening was that every enemy was dropping, like, tons of food that you could eat, but you only needed to eat, some food, and each one took up an inventory slot. Mm-hmm. So you would just pick which type of animal you want to hunt for food, and then don't loot the rest, I guess?
Yeah, not ready.
Yeah, but
not buying early release games.
Okay, but to be fair, people say that it's way better than when they first released it, which was only like a week ago. So maybe in a month it's going to be playable.
Y'all are suckers. Stop buying games that are so early release.
This game is
it
hilarious.
incentivizes them not to work faster.
Well, that's fair, but this game is hilarious.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, and I mean, at least Raft. Raft is still, yeah.
Raft
is
early access, yes.
Yeah. Raft, really good.
Yep.
Deep Rock Galactic, really good.
Yeah.
I got 120 hours of that.
Hey, Dead Cells was early access until next week. Great game.
Yeah, it's definitely a throw of the dice.
Now, the difference is that I decided to buy a game that's been out for like 3 days.
That's primarily what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
You're basically buying the alpha.
Yeah, precisely, which may be enjoyable later on.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. You play anything else, Phil?
No.
Yeah. I've been playing a little bit of Final Fantasy X. I really wish I could skip the cutscenes.
Everybody's wish in that game.
Oh, man. I've just seen those cutscenes.
Switch it to Japanese, I'm telling you.
Switch it to Japanese. Yeah, actually.
Mix it up at least.
Like, yeah, because it's not like I'm even listening to it most of the time. And everything else about that game is just so good.
Yeah.
The battles, fun.
Mm-hmm.
The sphere grid, I mean, why don't we see more of that kind of leveling system with the sphere grid in RPGs? It's a work of genius.
It's always great.
It's just wonderful. We need that, plus the Gambit system from Final Fantasy XII, and, mix a couple other really good things in there.
Final Fantasy XII, wasn't its level up system kind of vaguely sphere grid-ish?
Kind of. I mean, there was the license board.
That's what it was. It's pretty similar. It's just a grid instead of a fucking long map where you were very limited in where you could go.
Yeah. I like the long map version.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the fact that the licenses, you couldn't actually see what a lot of them were.
Right.
Unless you unlock the things next to them.
Right, you can plan them on the sphere grid much easier.
Yeah, exactly. You can plan out your characters, which is really good.
Anyway, throw the Nemesis system into that game you were building.
Yeah, and the Nemesis system, because that's awesome. Oh, and climbing everything like in Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Now we have a perfect game.
Yeah, we're almost there, guys.
Very close.
Yeah. Blitzball's a lot of fun, too.
Is it?
Yes.
It
It actually is pretty fun.
Did you go recruit anybody, or are you just playing with the Aurochs that you start with?
I just got to the high road after the tournament. So I just got to the point where the game kind of lets you go for a little while, and now I can play Blitzball whenever I get to a save point, and I can fight a lot more enemies, and I'm not going to be hindered by the story so much.
Right.
Oh, that
Thank
hindering story.
That hindering story. Man, but it's like...
It's cool the first time.
Right, and I'm like probably 5 hours in, and it feels like 2 hours of that has been me actually like playing.
That's a bad ratio.
It is.
It's a bad ratio.
Yeah, I always have to turn away. I'm not interested in most of the cutscenes, but other than that, it's fantastic and worth playing.
Now, anybody listening who doesn't know, the Nemesis system was a system in the Shadow of Mordor series where enemies that you kill could be resurrected later and hold a grudge against you and have altered their style of gameplay to match however you killed them before, making them more difficult to kill the more often you kill them.
And not only that, but when they kill you, they rank up in the orc ranks.
Right,
and
the tree of orc ranks.
A little power boost, maybe get some underlings because, hey, they killed you, they're victorious in battle, lots of honor for them.
And then you can go mind control them and take over everything they control.
Hell yeah. Or just run through their camps with one of those big old trolls.
Anything else about Final Fantasy?
No.
Well, it has been blazing hot this week, and a couple of the days this week it was too hot to play Fallout because my computer overheated after playing for a little while.
I hate that. My computer sounds so angry all the time.
So I had to play a game that was easier on the processor and video card, so I loaded up a game that I bought a long time ago and never played, which was Super Meat Boy. I got about up to the first boss style encounter thing. I can't even remember what it was now, a week later, but...
You're essentially just running across while it chases after you.
Yeah, that game is hard.
It is hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's the controls are weirdly slippery. It takes a minute to get used to exactly the way that you're jumping around, because you can jump really far, like suspiciously far sometimes, and it really psychs you out once in a while because you're like, oh, I can probably make that incredibly long gap, and it's real weird. It just feels real slippery, real loose, and it feels like that was probably on purpose, considering the character you're playing as.
It gives you a ton of control if you learn how to control it, but that also makes it feel kind of awkward when you're getting used to it.
Right. It's been a long time since I played Super Meat Boy. This is like wall jumping, and there's lots of buzzsaws, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, that's a fun game.
That's a great game. Yeah, I feel like me and Sam played a lot of it, swapping back and forth. And
I can see that.
I think that he made quite a bit of the progress that I made, which was to get all the way up to the final set of levels, and then that is where I finally petered out and just couldn't do it.
I just remembered how ridiculous some of those levels
get. The buildings, man. Oh,
and making you like drop perfectly, like while strafing right and left to get around certain saws, but you gotta land right on a tiny little ledge. It gets frustrating.
I do like the little video that plays after you beat the level, where it shows all your tries and where they died as they follow along to the last one who eventually makes it. That's a real nice touch.
Yeah, Sam would never let me skip it.
Oh, really?
That's true, I wouldn't. I always wanted to see.
I was skipping it at first until I realized what was happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too cool to watch all of your playthroughs at once.
It makes it weirdly rewarding to die a lot, which is a very useful thing for a game like that. If you die 30 times and then make it, and you get to watch a little movie of 29 of yourselves, or 30 of yourselves dying with the one escaping, you feel real good. You're like, oh, look at all those times I fucked up.
Yeah. And you get to see all of the different mistakes you made all at once. So it's like, that's all the things you can do wrong. And that's right.
Like all the times you were trying to jump right on the ledge and you just run right off of one. So you get like 5 guys who are just like, what?
So damn slippery, I'm telling you. You gotta have good timing and not too much lag under control there.
Long ones where you die a bunch early are hilarious because it's like 20 guys immediately jump into the saws and then one guy jumps out and then runs really far and wins.
Yeah.
Good
that's
game.
A fun game.
Yeah.
Good choice.
But then it cooled off a little bit, changed a fan in my rig, and found Nuka World and Fallout, so I don't know how soon I'll be back.
Yeah, that's fair. It's one of those games that you can pick up any time and still be able to play it, so...
It's true.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah. Well, I got nothing else. Want to take a break, guys?
Yeah, let's take a little break.
All right, we'll be right back.
Right.
And welcome back to the LAAGCast. Now we've got some TV and movie news for you. First up, I'm pretty excited about this. Funimation has a new Dragon Ball Super movie, bringing back Broly for, I guess this is his 4th appearance.
Nice.
Broly. Broly?
Yes.
Broly?
I think it's Brawly.
It's Broly.
It's Broly?
I know, I wish it was Brawly because, he likes to brawl. He's so brawly, but no, it's Broly.
It's Broly, okay.
And there was a new design for him released as well, where he looks much more Saiyan, like he's wearing something closer to a variant of the Saiyan armor than his usual completely whacked out looks.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, so...
Still, I wonder if this movie will, once again, not be in the same timeline continuum as the show, or if it will be connected, or maybe they'll turn it into another season.
I don't think that the Battle of the Gods or Frieza movies were called Dragon Ball Super, so I think this one is going to be fully in that version of continuity.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's how it works generally.
Yeah.
Cool.
So HBO is I guess who bought them? Comcast. Somebody bought Time Warner, and that's the reason this is happening.
Yeah.
That HBO has decided that they're going to begin to adopt the Netflix model of more.
Yep.
Rather than the curated high-level collections that they've done so far. So
What a mistake.
R.I.P. HBO.
Yeah. Oh, man. Because they're so good at what they do.
They're
and
so
nobody
good.
doesn't like them.
Almost every HBO show is like a hit. Like they're so well considered. Like the movie selection is a better movie selection to browse through than your Amazon Primes or your Hulus or your Netflixes.
Right, there's less to weed through.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
So this move is troublesome.
Yes, indeed.
Although maybe it'll be $15 in my pocket every month when I'm not having to pay for that anymore.
Or maybe it's going to be really profitable and they're going to make a lot of really good stuff and it's going to blow us all out of the water.
We'll see. We shall see.
Indeed.
So this October they're going to be filming the first official Game of Thrones spinoff, which is a prequel. Do we know what prequel? Is it going to be the taking over of Westeros by the Targaryens? Is it going to be just a couple generations back?
I don't think we even know yet, do we?
I don't know if we know.
I don't think we know yet.
Yeah.
George R.R. Martin's The Hedge Knight.
I feel like they aren't. I feel like it's going to be.
They're not going to do that.
I mean, he's got another book in the works that isn't in it isn't the next book. It's like some Targaryen history crap.
Yeah.
So I will not be surprised when it's going to be some Targaryen history crap.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately.
Sad.
So that's all the news I had.
All right.
Did you watch anything, Will?
No.
Sam?
I've been watching a bit of Fringe.
Fringe. You want to talk about Fringe?
I really like Fringe.
I like Fringe.
I can always talk about Fringe. I watched the first 2 seasons of Fringe.
Okay.
Which is very good. It's a really slow boil at first. Slow burn, I should say.
You're fully into the alternate universe now, though, right?
Yes. It takes 2 seasons to get to that point. And I've watched a little bit more than that. And that's where it's gotten a lot more of the alternate universe. But at first it's just hints, as it's more a Monster of the Week type of show. And then season 2 comes in and it's like all this conspiracy stuff. And then it just breaks wide open into full on. There's 2 universes. Neither of them is the bad guy.
Right.
Though one of them does think that the other is trying to destroy it.
Right. Because they're having much worse effects from the dimensional distortions. That's what it is, right?
Right. Caused by the mad scientist Walter when he traveled between universes to save the son of the other universe himself, because he lost his son to the same illness a little bit earlier.
So he can cure it.
So he can cure that illness, so he goes to take the son from the other Walter, bring him back to his universe, cure him, and then give him back. But then he never gives him back.
Right, of course, which leads to a lot of trouble.
Leads to a lot of trouble, and also the universe breaks from him crossing over in the first place. So it's a lot of fun, and it's one of those shows that there's just so many little details.
Like, what have you noticed?
Oh, I should have written something down.
That was going to be my question, because what is this, your second, third time watching it?
Yeah, my third.
And yeah, so like when you rewatch the series that many times, usually there's a couple things that you start picking up on since you've watched the episode so many times that you maybe didn't notice the first couple of times.
Well,
little
how
thematic
about
things, earlier hints about the overall plot in earlier episodes.
Definitely, there's a lot of foreshadowing. Yeah.
How about the episode with Charlie after he died?
Okay, but I think that's because I'm streaming it and I'm getting it in its original air order. Whereas in season 1, there was an episode that was thrown out. They decided not to air that one. So they threw it in to season 2.
Right.
Around episode 11, I believe. Season 2, episode 11.
Right.
And it never occurred to me before. There's like a character who dies.
Yeah.
And he's so totally in that episode, briefly.
It's a known continuity flaw. Like if you go onto the show's Wikipedia and stuff, they talk about it.
Yeah. I can't believe I never noticed that before, but I did fall asleep a lot when my first watch through of the show. Just because, that's what happens when you binge watch something great, and eventually you're going to fall asleep from exhaustion. You can only take in so much awesome.
Yeah, so one of the best things about the show is that all the science is based on actual theoretical science. So even the craziest possible theory is somewhat based in reality, and so it's somewhat believable to a point.
Right, they Googled the thing they were talking about, and they learned some fun facts about it, and made sure to work that into the episode. It's not Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Star Trek, but it might be the closest thing to as good on the science level.
Interesting. Strong words.
Indeed. For sure.
Well, Max, what about you?
Well, I guess I should cap off the Luke Cage coverage for this podcast. Yes. I watched the last 4 episodes.
All right.
And overall, I liked it a lot. I think that it was a stronger season overall than the first, because it definitely ended stronger, than the first one did. The first one kind of peters out.
Yeah.
Whereas this one pretty much stays strong all the way through and has quite a few interesting twists along the way. The 2 episodes with Iron Fist are very entertaining. It might be 1 episode. You can never tell with these binge-watched things.
Yeah.
But it really makes you want that Heroes for Hire show. Because, I've never watched Iron Fist. I've only seen him in The Defenders before this. But I like this version of Iron Fist with this version of Luke Cage. It seems to make sense. And, a lot of weird things go down. Like Bushmaster is kind of just shuffled away at the end. It doesn't really have any huge bearing on the finale. He even in the last couple of episodes teams up with Luke Cage to fight through a warehouse, which is a lot of fun. During the Iron Fist episodes, Luke does a fastball special, throws Danny at some guys, which is always fun. Love that.
Wait, so when you say that he's thrown aside, is he dead or is he still alive and can come back and be around?
He's messed up, but the amount of nightshade he's taken may just kill him. He might never recover.
Okay.
So they're taking him back to Jamaica. But he could come back if they decided they wanted to bring him back, obviously.
And because he's consumed an insane amount of nightshade, he could come back in some weird way.
In some weird way is probably what it would have to be, because as it was presented in this season, his guts were rotten.
He was already weird.
Yeah. And then they capped it off with the super weird twist of having Mariah leave the bar, the club, Harlem's Paradise, to Luke instead of her daughter in her will that she hastily scribbles together when she's thrown in prison.
Yeah.
And so Luke ends up, they give him the straight Godfather, where now he's in charge up in the club, lording over everything, and he's got all the same goons that were working for Mariah, who were all stopping working for Mariah during the last few episodes because she had gone so crazy.
Yep.
And he can't work out of the barbershop anymore because he's not a neutral actor now that he's taking control of the gangs.
Yep.
And they even do the straight Godfather shot when they have Misty Knight escorted out of the room, and people are all standing there in their suits and with Luke, and they're gonna start talking crime, so Misty can't listen to what they're talking about, and they shut the door. And it's straight up the cinematography from Godfather when they're doing it. And I cannot believe that they didn't have the balls to end the episode on that. They did run it for like another 5 minutes just to show us that all the other mob bosses were there at the club, and do another extended musical interlude that was all like a song about Luke Cage. If you listen to the lyrics. And Rosario Dawson must have been busy doing something else, because she doesn't show up again in the final episode after leaving in, I think, episode 3 or 4. But the last thing that Luke says in the show is to tell her to leave. I don't want to see her. Like, she's shown up at the club to talk to him, and he's just not. He doesn't want her to see him that way. So it's very interesting to see what form Luke Cage Season 3 will take, or if they'll even decide to use this plot line in one of the other shows, like perhaps Daredevil, which if they're going to do the Born Again storyline from the comics with the Kingpin, it would make a lot of sense to have mob boss Luke Cage show up and have that be a factor in some way.
That'd be cool.
But so overall, very good. I'd give it a solid 7.5 out of 10 overall.
That sounds about right.
Well above average, well worth watching.
Yeah, worth watching.
All right.
Luke Cage, of the Netflix shows, of all of them,
it's the best
is
one.
Consistently the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely true, and I mean,
It has the same problems as all the other ones.
yes,
but
exactly.
But they're minimized by a lot of the time-wasting stuff on Luke Cage is more entertaining because it's long musical numbers or they're doing something that has a lot more color happening. Every single other one of the Marvel shows is so monochrome. And
it's drab.
Yeah, it's super not interesting to look at. And the Cage is always, it's always cool to look at. Always cool to listen to.
Yep.
It's a cool show.
It's definitely true. He looks cool walking down the street.
All the action scenes are good. He's like a hood Superman.
He
you know?
talks cool.
Yeah, his whole attitude is awesome.
Yeah.
So, I love Luke Cage.
Yeah.
But that was it. That's all I really watched.
Well, I think that is all that we watched. So, in that case, is it time?
It's time.
Time.
All right, so we are once again going to be adding to our master list of Star Trek characters in order of how much we like them.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Call it what it is.
And as before, I have prepared 2 lists for you to choose from. 2 F lists. One is a list of family. One is a list of Ferengi.
Wow, family. I don't know what that could be.
I know what that could be. Let's go with the family.
Family.
All right. First on family is not an awful character, but nobody's favorite, Keiko O'Brien.
There you go.
Keiko has the unenviable task of only being featured in storylines where she's giving Miles a hard time.
That is true. For the most part. There's a couple times that I would say there's a couple exceptions, like because she's a school teacher, there's when she's not really giving Miles a hard time, but just having a hard time herself.
Right.
Because of Kai Wynn.
Yeah, always unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's naggy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, yeah, she's so much more of the plot device for why O'Brien is
O'Brien
having a rough home life. Even though you don't get the idea that they're always like that. It's just that she, here's another problem.
They have plenty of good meals together where they're happy and O'Brien's just dealing with something else.
And she is good on the episodes of Next Gen that she's on, like the one where O'Brien's body is taken over by one of the aliens from the planet surface, and
yeah, she does a good job generally.
So unfortunately, can't put her too high. I'm looking right in the area of Dr. Pulaski.
Give me a number.
Number 46.
Number 46.
But those numbers aren't totally accurate. Oh, did you upgrade the list?
No, it's one off.
So
that's 47.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it. All right. So Pulaski, oof, that's rough.
I mean, I don't know. Actually, to tell you the truth, I might have to put it below Dr. Hugh Culber because he's a much more entertaining spouse than Keiko is.
God.
And his limited amount of screen time.
His very limited amount of screen time.
So you think Keiko's right above Neelix?
Yeah, she's better than Neelix.
Yeah, I guess we can put her with Neelix.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess.
Let's do it.
That's acceptable.
Keiko. Oh, Brian. All right. Next on the family list is Jake Sisko.
Jake Sisko.
I like Jake.
Jake Sisko.
And the best episode of Jake Sisko, he's not even, the actor isn't even playing,
I know, it's Worf's brother, Tony Todd, playing older Jake. Which is that episode is a tear-jerker.
And we gotta include that, because that is Jake Sisko.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, that's a high-quality episode.
Oh, yeah, when Tony Todd is playing Jake Sisko, it's just the best.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. That's probably the one episode that really is a full-on tearjerker.
Oh, yeah. Every time.
The episode where Jake and his dad go out on the solar ship that he's designed is awesome.
Well, that's the first one of this kid's becoming an adult.
Right.
I like Jake and Nog's friendship in general.
That's what I was going to say.
And watching them grow up.
Is that the second best friendship? It definitely is on DS9.
It's very high.
Although I got to say, Dax and Cisco is pretty high up there, too.
They're really good friendships.
Yeah.
Personal relationships on Deep Space Nine are just top-notch.
The Ciscos are just great people. They're just great to know. They're always in your corner. They'll do anything for you.
Oh, yeah.
They'll feed you.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I love all the little sidelines with Nog and Jake, trying to get the playing card, other times when they're trading stuff to people for other things.
The classic have to trade up to get the thing we need.
Yeah,
episode.
the Legend of Zelda classic. Play the trading game. Great material continuum. Jake's great.
Jake is great.
I feel like Jake ranks pretty high, like maybe in the 20s.
Maybe in the late 20s, because I don't know if I can put Jake above Archer.
Ooh, I think it's debatable.
I mean,
Wait, where's Archer?
number 27, which, is...
27, whatever.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But...
So then we got
Sulu.
Yeah.
Below him, Commander Shran from Enterprise. Next down from there.
What do you think,
Tom
Sam?
Paris. I mean, do we like Jake Sisko better than Tom Paris?
I think I do, actually.
Yeah.
Jake Sisko more than Tom Paris.
What about Shran?
I think I like Jake Sisko more than I like Archer and maybe even Janeway, now that I think about it.
No chance. I'm not putting him below the captain.
No?
You can't.
He's such a good
Too much-
character, though.
But I can put him above Shran.
All right, but below Sulu? What about Sulu?
Sulu? I'd say Jake is better than Sulu.
Oh, that's going to be divisive, but I can agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. But, no, he's a great kid.
I love Jake.
All right. Last, and not least, but maybe least, on the list, is... Do you know who it is, Sam?
I don't yet.
Do you know who it is?
No clue.
It is Luoxana Troy.
Oh, my God.
Okay, well, just put it right above Deanna and we're done.
I don't know, man. Do you really think that she's better than Wesley? Than Brunt? Than Barkley?
Honestly,
I think she's comparable to Barkley.
Okay.
Annoying, but sometimes good.
Like,
Comparable to Barkley. Yeah, I can agree with that.
I mean, Kern is right below Barkley. I think that I have to take her over Kern.
she's in good episodes, but she drives me crazy.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's by design.
Yes, but I will actively choose to not watch an episode that she is in because she annoys me to that point.
So you would put her below Kern?
I would put her really low on the list because annoying to the point you don't want to watch something is like the worst you can get.
You know, I have the opposite reaction. When I see it's a little Luoxana episode, I'm like, oh, that's probably pretty good because she vibes well with the rest of the cast, whoever she's placed with.
I would put her above Barkley, below Brunt. Because Barkley and Brunt are both similar characters. They have annoying tics that can make episodes with them annoying.
Yeah.
But overall, the good outweighs the bad. Just slightly.
Yeah, okay. That works for me.
All right. So that's going to be Luoxana Troy at number 40.
She also does the sound for all the computers, which
Yes.
is awesome.
But that's a different character.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, guys. Should we take another short break?
Absolutely.
All right. We'll be right back.
Yes, we will.
And welcome back to the LAAGCast. We're going to end here with some comic news and comic reviews. But first, as always, the Transformer of the Week. Will, it's funny that you brought this Transformer.
Yeah, so explain that to me.
All right, so does this guy look familiar to y'all at all?
Let's see.
He's red.
Big red guy, long chin.
This is Blaster. Blaster's job throughout Transformers history has been to be the Autobot version of whatever the Soundwave mold is for that particular generation. Wherever there is a Soundwave, there eventually is a Blaster, because good guys sell better than bad guys, so you got to use every mold on at least one good guy character.
That makes sense.
He is the Autobots' DJ / head of communications. He primarily, hosts like a radio show where he like blasts motivational talk out to Autobots wherever they may be fighting. Like Soundwave, he has a cavity in his chest where he can dispatch a bevy of various little disc guys.
Awesome.
And he tends to be just like a cool dude, like a good-hearted, like nice guy. You want to be friends with Blaster? He probably knows where the party is.
Well, yeah, good pick.
And just like the Soundwave, though, I think it was 2 weeks ago, or last week even.
I think it was 2 weeks ago. Maybe.
Right, because last week it was Windblade.
Yeah, exactly. But still, man, I made great choices.
So apparently, Dark Horse is going to be adapting the original unproduced script of Alien 3 into a comic book. This was written by William Gibson, who famously wrote Neuromancer, which much of the Matrix, everything that isn't the Invisibles in the Matrix is from Neuromancer.
That's cool.
So it may be cool.
Yeah,
we'll see. It seems like they may be just adapting his script fairly directly. There isn't like a definite writer attached, just like an art and colorist team.
I think that, in general, if you don't have the funds to turn something into, a movie, comic is a great way to go, because then you can still, get the vision out there.
Well, that has been the thought of quite a few over the last decade or so, and that's some people think that that's led to the dilution of the industry, as like every comic is suddenly an unproduced screenplay.
I mean, I can definitely see that too. Yeah.
Apparently, Stan Lee dropped his $1 billion lawsuit against Power Entertainment, who he had been accusing of stealing his name and likeness to sell comics to the Chinese. Who knows? Who knows if this is actually Stan Lee making this decision or whoever's in charge of him right now. That judge recently passed that judgment saying that he was of proper faculty or something. I don't even remember what the judgment was, but everything is weird with Stan Lee, and I just feel really bad for the guy.
Nobody knows what's really going on.
And last, very, very sad news in the comic world and the world at large, really, the entertainment world, which is that Steve Ditko, one of the greatest comic creators of all time, passed away last week.
That's unfortunate.
Steve Ditko created or co-created Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, The Question, The Creeper, Shade the Changing Man, Hawk and Dove, Mary Jane Watson, and many, many more characters. I highly recommend looking up just Steve Ditko character created and looking at the Wikipedia page that just shows the list of all of the characters that he had a hand in co-creating, because it's a wide number of characters that are, many of which are still in use today. He's the reason that Spider-Man looks the way he does, instead of looking kind of like a Superman clone, and as a teenager.
What?
Yeah, and I mean, that Spider-Man costume, when it comes down to it, I mean, if Superman isn't the best costume design of all time, then Spider-Man is.
That's fair.
So, we mourn his passing.
That's very unfortunate, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, moving on to some comic reviews.
Indeed. Some good comics this week.
Some interesting things this week. Definitely worth talking about. First up, let's talk about issue 2 of Bloodstrike Brutalists. Actually, issue 23 of Bloodstrike overall. This issue, I felt, was much harder to follow, being unfamiliar with the characters, compared to the last issue.
Definitely. Yeah. But I think that they did a good job bringing it back around, because by the end, I knew what had happened, and that's what really matters.
Right. Everything that happened in the comic makes sense.
Yes.
Like, there's a beginning, middle, and end with a straight through line. The characters all explain everything you need to know about everything that's happening.
Yep.
It is extremely well constructed.
Oh my god.
But I can't imagine it was for you, because even I know that this is Supreme, for example, this universe's version of Superman.
Okay.
So a lot of weird stuff going on with the guy who gets the STD that turns him into a zombie.
Yeah. Oh man, his entire story is just so sad.
The entire time.
He turns into a ghoul.
Yeah.
And then dies pretty unceremoniously.
Yeah, it's pretty awful for him.
And it seems like this issue is actually like a weird side story to some sort of much more important plot happening somewhere else that we're only getting little glimpses of, because by the end the team is now going rogue from the division that created them, and they're not going to be Bloodstrike anymore, and they're on their last life, just like Westworld. And it's cool comic books.
It is,
but I didn't like it quite as much as I enjoyed the first issue. This character's plot was not as cool as this other dude.
It's just that it kind of dipped in the middle of the comic, because it wasn't you weren't sure where it was going.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Next up, I wanted to talk about the second issue of Hawkman by Robert Venditti and Brian Hitch. I really thought this was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It's very... the art's good. The story's compelling.
It's weird. It's doing something cool with the whole Hawkman mythos. I pointed out to you the other day that I thought it was interesting that Hawkman and Venom seem to be telling sort of parallel stories in each about some sort of greater threat from their ancient past that they haven't known about, but through one reason or another they have like streams of memories and older arcane knowledge, and Venom is just very much like the street level New York version of that, whereas this is the Indiana Jones magic artifacts and crazy pulp fights version with some mysterious time travel happening.
Very mysterious time travel.
We don't know how or why he was randomly sent back in time to fight his original incarnation, who probably isn't actually his original incarnation. That is what this story's telling us.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty cool fight between Hawkman and Khufu, the original person who found the nth metal on Earth. And and then he hilariously is back in Hawkman mode when he gets back to the museum and steals the artifact and totally escapes and is now a criminal also for stealing crap from a museum.
Yeah, it just breaks a pillar.
I feel like if he had just un-Hawkmaned himself and walked over to the pillar, or even break the pillar, un-Hawkman yourself and pull it out, the dude probably would have been kind of mad, but oh my god, this is an amazing discovery.
Yeah, that's true.
So I am definitely intrigued to see where this is going, especially since the next issue, teased on the final page of this one, is going to good old Dinosaur Island.
Perfect.
Where did we go to Dinosaur Island in last? Superman.
Yeah,
that's right, when they went and rescued the last loser.
Yeah, him and John. His son John.
So looking forward to that.
Not Martian Manhunter.
Not Martian Manhunter. John Kent, not John Jones.
Yes, John Kent.
Who we will be talking about John Jones later, let me tell you. Anyway, moving on to the 5th issue of Oblivion Song by Robert Kirkman and Lorenzo De Felici.
Yep.
This is the way that Image usually schedules things out. This is almost certainly the final issue of the trade paperback collection, so this was supposed to be sort of a nice little cap on most of the plot lines from these issues and a feed into what the next set of issues is going to be about.
That's very much what it was.
That's very much what it was. We finally got the meetup between the brothers, which, I gotta be honest, man, this could have been 2 issues, this whole 5-issue series.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree, and that was actually going to be my main complaint, is the fact that this overall was not a bad comic. But the plot has moved at such a pace that it feels like this could have been one comic, to be honest.
What it feels like is that this is supposed to be a TV show, and they're just writing out the scenes exactly as they would be appearing on a television show, but this is a 20-page comic. So 5 issues is roughly 3 episodes of a show. Because this is right where we'd be at the end of episode 2 or episode 3 of a 12-episode season.
But that's where you could be at episode 1!
You don't want to rush through things too much. I feel like it makes sense to set it up, then knock them down. You want to make it a big revelation that his brother is here with these people and they've set up this little, you want to have it be a bad place to be for several episodes before you pull the twist in this issue, which is that the people who are living here prefer living here to the idea of going home, it seems. At least the people who are in charge.
I mean, that's definitely true. But at the same time, I feel like getting to this point faster
would have been better.
And then they can kind of take their time.
I just don't think you can do it in 20 pages. I think they needed. I think the 2 to 3 issues.
Okay. Special 30-page first issue.
Yeah, and cool action. Monsters showing up and they're going after him, and the art is, as always, real tight. I like the coloring job. Everything is always very differently colored based on where we are. You never are confused about which area you're looking at because of the coloring jobs.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks like this dude's building a bomb, probably to blow up the other dimension, I assume.
Something along those lines, or maybe it's not actually a bomb.
Right, very true.
My first thought was that it's not actually a bomb, to be honest.
We'll see. Maybe we'll see next issue.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on to the 6th and final issue of Thrawn by Jody Houser and Luke Ross. Sam, tell me what you thought about this issue of Thrawn and the 6-issue series Thrawn in general.
I did not realize this was the final issue.
I'm almost certain that this is it. I think that there's another series
coming up.
What they teased.
I guess that makes sense since this time he made an alliance.
Oh, no, that's what it is. They had an ad for the next Thrawn book that Timothy Zahn is writing that's going to come out.
Right.
And since this 60 was based on the last Thrawn book, they probably have to wait for this book to come out, and then 6 months to a year later, we're going to start seeing the next Thrawn comic series.
Oh, gosh darn it.
But, so yeah, this is it for Thrawn for now.
Okay.
But, yeah, it pretty fairly established his origins.
Yeah, it did. It did a good job. It's pretty cool. He was promoted to what rank this time?
Grand Admiral, his final rank.
Grand Admiral.
He is now truly Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Right.
How about that face, though?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. He meets the Emperor, who gives him the rank.
Right. I could have done, now that we're through all the issues, I could have 100% done without the character of the governess who betrayed her planet to the Empire, who got one whole issue, and then parts of the last couple, all divided about. Just give us more Thrawn. Thrawn was the most entertaining thing about this. This was probably a subplot in the book, and so it had to be in here.
Right.
But she contributed zilch to the overall plot or themes of this book. Like, it definitely felt like she was in there because they felt like she had to be in there.
Yeah, that's true.
And I never really got straight what her motivations were, if she was selfless or selfish.
Yeah, it's weird.
But yeah, Thrawn talking to the Emperor and confronting him about the Death Star was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The fact that Thrawn offered a position to what seems like it was a guy who's with the Rebel Alliance,
Right.
a position with the Chiss Ascendancy, and then that guy chose not to, I guess, because Thrawn ended up sending the dude who has been his underling throughout this over to the Chiss to be, I guess, their advisor.
Right.
I'm assuming that's a plotline that would continue in future things. But I also got to be honest, being a fan of the original Thrawn novels by Timothy Zahn, I am very much hoping that the next book introduces Captain Pelion, maybe as Lieutenant Pelion or something. But whatever, because we didn't get stuff from Thrawn's point of view in the original trilogy. We had Captain Pelion's point of view, his first officer, like the guy who was the captain of the Star Destroyer. That was Thrawn's flagship, while Thrawn was in charge of the fleet.
Oh, cool.
And he was a good character. He, in the old expanded universe that doesn't exist anymore, he ended up being in charge of the Empire when they eventually signed the peace treaty with the Rebellion and officially ended the Galactic War, 25, 30 years after the Battle of Endor, just a little bit before the Yuuzhan Vong invasion.
Wow, 30 years.
I think it was that long, I really do. I might be extending it too much, but I think it was a long-ass time. Maybe it was 20 years, but either way, that war continued in the old expanded universe. Now it sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway, Star Wars used to be good. But this was good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to what the mainstream Star Wars has become, this is like a breath of fresh air. This feels...
I'd give this probably an 8.
I'd go a little lower. I'd go a 6, probably, for this. Slightly above average, but I wouldn't put it in the hands of somebody who wasn't a diehard Star Wars fan.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would even reread this, to be honest. It feels like a one and done. It was cool. But
now I know the story. I don't need to reread it.
Exactly. So this next one's pretty interesting. They announced it on Tuesday, and it came out on Wednesday. And shops didn't know what they were ordering when they ordered it. It was just some mysterious thing, but they got it for free. So...
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was a nice little gift for the shops to give them something they didn't have to buy. They can sell to people with a good pedigree, because this is another new Robert Kirkman book.
That's pretty cool.
But this one has the advantage of being drawn by Chris Burnham and colored by Nathan Fairbairn.
And it just looks so good.
It looks so good. This is the team behind Nameless, the excellent Grant Morrison horror show. They also did all the issues of Batman Incorporated in the New 52, which all looks so freaking good. And I've bought a couple of just Chris Burnham graphic novels that he wrote that are just straight up, almost plotless gore fests. Just tough guys duking it out with weirdos.
Huh.
So this is an interesting book. It's like tough guys duking it out with weirdos.
Yeah, definitely.
The first thing that happens is we're introduced to this guy who definitely seems like he's the hero.
He's awesome. He's perfect in every way. Unstoppable.
Right, he's beating up a bunch of guys, and then he gets put in a headlock and his nose gets sliced off.
Oh.
The guy who's attacking gets knocked out. And then we move into this weird, very Jonathan Hickman-esque history of the world, as it really is, bit that starts introducing us to the... it's almost John Wickian. Like the secret world of political assassinations.
It's perfectly accurate.
Right. And so then we're introduced to some other characters. This weird tough guy investigator who works for this senator.
Yes.
Who does a bunch of coke, I guess.
Yeah, the senator just straight up does some coke and then puts it under a newspaper when the guy walks in, and he just looks at her and goes, "Oh, you got some coke under that newspaper."
And we get a couple of good pages illustrating the way that they go about their job. When they decide that they need something to happen, they will go down the list of who they need to kill and how destructive it'll be if they kill that person.
Yep.
Like they target this guy because he's designing the train that they need to not be designed because it's a political point for one guy who's running for office, but they realize that the guy's a nice guy and is friendly to children and has a family, so he doesn't need to die. So they figure out a way to they're going to kill the caretaker of his mother instead to make it seem like somebody's trying to kill his mom, so the guy will freak out and quit the project and take his mom away. But then they realize they don't need to kill the guy because they can just bribe him because he's trying to get out of that job for years. So if they just give him a crap load of money, then he'll just ditch the job and the guy will have to go take care of his mom. Problem solved. They didn't even have to kill anybody that time.
And of course, because they're government, the guy never even knows where the hell he really got the money from. And so there's no actual trail anywhere.
Right, exactly. It's a very cool system.
Yeah.
And the main thrust of this issue is that our guy from the first couple of pages is a high-level agent, and his operator, the senator, gets sent his nose as a ransom demand, I guess. Or just a threat.
And so...
not a ransom, because they're going to sell the guy on, the black market.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And so they have 72 hours to find him before he's sold to some criminal who's going to torture the shit out of him. And we get this weird... This is the only page this guy was introduced on, right? A rich dude getting out of a fancy car, going down to a basement full of guns.
Yep.
And while at the same time, this chunky agent who thinks he's hilarious, but actually has the worst sense of humor of all time, decides because he goes on this little bit where he's going to retire the word pussy because pussies aren't weak. He's going to start calling people ball sacks because ball sacks are weak. And the other guy's like, "Are you going to start calling tough guys pussies?" And he's like, "Well, maybe we'll get there, but not yet." And honestly, it's a really dumb bit. It reminded me a little bit though of the Arrested Development bit where the British woman, Charlize Theron, calls Michael a pussy, but she means it in the British way, which means sweet.
Right.
You may flashback to the war flashback where Buster's the army guy's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to fight in the war." Not all them Jerry's are horrible people, They're just trying to fight for their country. It's "Oh, you're such a pussy." So I'll give him half a point. It's not totally cringe, but it's a little cringe. And so he goes to the woods and does that old chestnut of tracking down the retired agent who lives as a nomad in the woods now.
Yep.
And the last page reveal is that all of these people, the kidnapped guy, the fancy dude with the gun basement, and the hermit ex-assassin guy in the woods, all appear to they're brothers, right?
Yeah, they're brothers. They're brothers.
Because of the facial differences, you can't tell if they're supposed to be triplets. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and it's definitely very confusing because when you start the comic, you're so certain that guy's the main character because he's on the cover.
Right.
But it's actually just his twin brother.
So, I will almost certainly be getting more issues of this because, man, how can I pass up Chris Burnham ultraviolence, man?
Yeah.
That's what comics is all about for me.
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Cleanly animated, cleanly written.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very easy to follow action, and it is gory.
It is. That nose cutting scene. Oh,
that dude draws chunks.
Mm-hmm.
That is his style. He is right below Frank Quietly for me in terms of the chunky illustrators. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. All right. Last. Here we are. The official issue 1 of the ongoing Superman by Brian Michael Bendis, penciled by Ivan Reis, who makes it look freaking amazing.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
It is a beautiful comic.
Yeah.
And it is so boring.
Still, a bit wordy.
We get some real nice action of Superman destroying an armada in space before they're even close to Earth because he's out there looking for John and Lois. which is a wild goose chase because they could be anywhere in an infinite universe.
Yeah, and that's what the commentary is. It's basically Superman realizing, I shouldn't be out here, gotta go defend Earth.
But I don't love this, like, Superman just saying, oh, I'm so worried.
I know. And he never finishes his sentences.
Yeah, it's weird. It's so wordy. It's so Bendis-y. He rips a plot point right out of Superman Returns, the Brandon Routh Superman with the Kevin Spacey Lex Luthor, when they have him throw the crystal into the ocean, in the Bermuda Triangle this time, and it rises up like a new piece of Krypton that can be the new Fortress of Solitude. I do like the little blurb on the page, the Fortress of Solitude page.
It's so funny, though.
It's so old school. That to just have like the little box in the corner that explains like this is the new Fortress of Solitude.
Superman has a new Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, that's straight Golden Age, or Silver Age, I should say. I'm down with that.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
But it's too little, too late. You know what I mean?
It's true.
We get a dumb scene of him trying to write a story, not being good at it.
Right. Where they finish one of his sentences inside of the actual picture, but then still don't finish the sentence.
Right. And then he goes and talks to Martian Manhunter outside, and this is the low point of the issue for me. Because I was expecting to turn the page and have it be revealed that like somebody has taken over John Jones's mind.
Right, exactly.
John Jones, as a talk with Superman.
Who's making you do this? Who's making you say these things?
Who's making you say these things? Like this scene seems to be more about the gimmick of Superman can't stay and have a regular conversation. He has to keep going and dealing with crazy threats all the time, real quick in between, like having a long conversation with John Jones.
Right.
But then John Jones is like, you're stressed. You should take over the world.
He's like the little fanboy of Superman's.
Yeah, he's like an annoying 15-year-old who like has a big fan of Superboy Prime, like the evil version. It's so weird that John, and I mean this last look of John looking at like this could be sinister. It could just be meant to be how John Jones looks. We don't know. It's not clear in the text. If they reveal later that this is Luthor or this is Rogol Zaar somehow or this is like something, then fine. But if this is really Bendis saying that like, oh, maybe we'll be better Superman took it over, John Jones is the heart and soul of the Justice League,
right.
Then whoa.
While reading through this, when I got to this picture of Martian Manhunter, I just looked at him, I said, they could be trying to convey any emotion here, but he would look the same anyway. So exactly. It means nothing to me.
Right. Just a stern look.
Yeah.
Just a stern look.
Yeah. And he always has red eyes, so you can even turn his eyes red to like make him say shit.
Right. So, and then the reveal, which I gotta say, after Man of Steel, I really thought we were done with Rogol Zaar for a little while.
Me too.
But bottom corner of this issue, or the little tag on the end, is next issue. Rogol Zaar returns. So great, guys, guess what? More Rogol Zaar. Okay. We're gonna get more.
Okay, but so I don't care for Rogol Zaar, but I actually thought it was a good twist that somehow they ended up inside the Phantom Zone. Because it's like, that they knew that they were going with something that everyone was going to go, ugh. Right. And they decided to do a twist on it.
Hopefully. Yeah. We'll see how interesting this twist is.
So does that mean Superman in the beginning of this issue, when he's flying out into space, is in the Phantom Zone?
Yeah, exactly. At what moment are they in the Phantom Zone?
I think it's the moment that Rogol Zaar supposedly enters the Phantom Zone is the moment that they do.
That's interesting. I don't think they can have been in the Phantom Zone that whole time. He would have noticed. I think that it was during the conversation with John somehow.
Okay.
Because like this,
you're right.
When we see the shot of him fighting, it looks like Gorilla Grodd, I'm assuming, attempting to attack a space shuttle.
Gorilla Grodd.
He's out in space. We definitely see it based on the way the last issue looks. Because this time he notices, we see it happening, like this blue energy forming right after he leaves John.
You're right.
So, I don't know, maybe Supergirl messed up.
That's weird.
Or maybe.
Okay.
Somebody got a hold of John and is using him to infect Superman into the Phantom Zone.
Right. The whole Earth, though.
We just don't know.
We just don't know, but we pray for John's safety. Like, I hope this isn't a character assassination and that this is actually a plot point we're supposed to notice and be weirded out by, because I don't like the idea of Superman comics that say that Superman should become a fascist dictator, because there's too many really good comics about how horrible it would be if Superman became a fascist dictator, whether they're actually about Superman or not.
I don't like the idea of Martian Manhunter suggesting such a thing to Superman.
Yeah, it felt gross, like slimy.
Yeah, no, it was bad.
Like, what are you doing?
But it was written in such a way that the writers might have been thinking, man, this is a good idea. Superman leading the Earth.
Right, it really did seem like I'm not sure how we're supposed to take it yet, and that's how Bendis seems to write stuff. Is he's like, oh. Like, I'll either reveal this later, or it was done the whole time.
Does he sweep things under the rug sometimes?
I think so, yeah, why not?
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say sweep things under the rug so much as, like, oh, you thought that was going to be something clever? No, that was just me being bad at the time, and you thought that the only way that this could be this bad is if it's actually going to be a twist later.
Right.
And it's not.
Wasn't there something going on with a bunch of fires in the city, and, like, there was evidence that Superman was setting those fires?
We have not resolved that.
Yeah, they touched on it briefly because that was the cliffhanger at the end of Man of Steel was the little boy who supposedly has witnessed Superman lighting the fires. Right. And that's super weird too. It's like a little boy. Is that just so we'll trust it more? Like, oh, if it's a little boy, maybe he's telling the truth because little boys.
Because he's being all sweet. He's like, oh, miss, I think I saw Superman.
You could bribe that kid to lie to the cops for $50.
Oh, yeah.
$20.
It's
not even to the cops. It's just the fire. Is it even a crime to lie to firemen?
That's interesting.
That's true.
Well, they're government, so...
Yeah, but is there a blanket law that it's illegal to lie to a federal agent? And our firefighters aren't federal agents, though. They're municipal. True. They're city.
Yeah, there's no law.
I don't think there's even a law that you can't lie to police. I think it's just when they're questioning you can't lie to them.
Right, if you're under oath, you can't lie.
Yeah.
And if you lie to an officer and they catch you in it and they can prove it, then you get, what is it, obstructing justice?
Something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
If it's actually an investigation.
Yeah, juries don't like when you lie to cops.
Anyway, thanks for tuning into the LAAGCast this week. Will, take us out with where everybody can find us.
Hey, you should follow us on Twitter at @the_lag. That's _LAAG. You can also send us an email if you have any comments. We're at lagentertainment@gmail.com. We read the email every single week, so if you want us to read anything on air, let us know. You can find us at lagentertainment.libsyn.com for an audio feed, but if you want to listen to the video feed on YouTube, you can just search up the LAAGCast, and we're on a bunch of different podcasting services, so you can find us there too. Thanks for listening.
Bye, Steve.
You're all Steve. You're all Steve. You're all Steve. You're all Steve. You're all Steve. You're all Steve. You're all Steve. You're all Steve.